Gene Hackman, a Hollywood legend who once ruled the silver screen with his powerful performances, chose to step away from fame and embrace a quieter life in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Far from the chaos of Hollywood, he and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, found solace in a 9,000-square-foot mansion nestled in the untamed beauty of the Southwest. Unlike many stars who collect lavish estates around the world, Hackman sought only one place to call home, a peaceful retreat where he could reflect on a career well lived, away from the glare of the spotlight. In his later years, Hackman left behind the trappings of fame, embracing a life of quiet contentment. Mornings began with a steaming cup of coffee, the rhythmic strokes of his paintbrush, and unhurried walks through his garden, where the whispering breeze danced through the trees. In a world where Hollywood thrives on fleeting passion, Hackman and Betsy Arakawa stood as a testament to enduring love. No longer in the limelight, he found something far greater than recognition: serenity, like a legend who chose to fade into the golden glow of a well-lived life. If you're curious about the story of star Gene Hackman and the mysteries surrounding his career, don't forget to hit like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other fascinating stories. Now, let's dive into the story. They crossed paths in the 1980s when Betsy, a talented pianist, captivated Hackman with her warmth and artistry. Though he had experienced love before, it was Betsy who made him believe in true companionship. For over 3 decades, they built a life rooted in simplicity, Betsy nurturing her passion for music while Hackman immersed himself in painting and writing. Fame and headlines no longer mattered. What they sought and found was a life of quiet fulfillment, shared in perfect harmony. Despite Hackman's reclusive nature, there was something oddly familiar about his daily routine. Each morning, neighbors would spot him driving out for a newspaper, occasionally pausing at his favorite cafe. The owner still recalls the quiet yet commanding presence of a man whose sharp eyes seemed to hold a lifetime of stories. Hackman never spoke much, but when he did, every word carried weight. Yet, one mystery lingered. His home remained an unbroken sanctuary. He never opened the door to strangers, and even those living nearby rarely glimpsed beyond its walls. The mansion belonged to only 2 souls, Hackman and Betsy, sealed in their own world of quiet solitude. As the years went by, murmurs began to circulate. Why had Hackman withdrawn so completely? What secrets, if any, lay hidden within the walls of his sprawling estate? At first, these were nothing more than passing whispers, idle speculation among neighbors. No one could have predicted that a series of fateful events was about to unravel, a turning point that would shatter the silence and alter everything forever. In the 2 weeks leading up to the disruption, neighbors began noticing strange occurrences. Hackman no longer made his usual morning trips for the newspaper, and at night, the mansion remained eerily illuminated, as if someone inside was restless or keeping watch. Betsy, who frequently visited the local market, had seemingly vanished from sight. No one could decipher what was unfolding behind those towering walls. One neighbor later recalled, "I remember hearing a sound late one night, nothing like an argument or shouting, just something unsettling. To this day, I still can't place it." Yet at the time, no one suspected that these quiet anomalies were the prelude to something far more devastating. No one could have foreseen that, within days, both Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa would vanish from sight. It started with a small detail, a stack of untouched newspapers piling up by the front door, noticed by the mailman. Soon, neighbors grew uneasy. The house remained eerily still, no figures passing by the windows, no footsteps echoing through the halls, not even the faintest sound from within. Concern turned to alarm, and the police were finally called. What they discovered behind those locked doors sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The way Hackman had faded, how his once vibrant home had become a hollow, lifeless shell. This was no quiet retirement. It was the chilling opening scene to a tragedy darker than any role he had ever played. Just when it seemed like the truth had surfaced, a shocking revelation from a neighbor turned everything on its head. This was only the beginning. Betsy Arakawa's sudden disappearance not only rattled the quiet community, but also unraveled a web of unanswered questions. The woman who had stood by Gene Hackman's side for over 30 years, the steady, unwavering presence in his life, was now gone without a trace. And the circumstances surrounding her vanishing were far more unsettling than anyone could have imagined. On a dreary February afternoon, when police finally entered the Hackman estate, they stumbled upon a scene that would haunt them forever. Betsy Arakawa was found in the bathroom, motionless, her head resting gently against the edge of the bathtub, as if caught in a deep, unshakable sleep. Scattered across the floor lay packets of thyroid medication, some pills intact, others crushed into fine dust. Yet the room itself told a different story. There were no signs of a struggle, no injuries, no evidence of an accident, just an unsettling stillness. And yet, Betsy was gone. The question that gripped everyone's mind was simple, yet terrifying. What had really happened behind those locked doors? When the coroner's report was released, it pointed to a startling conclusion. Betsy Arakawa had succumbed to hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, a rare and deadly illness transmitted by rodents. The virus attacks the lungs, beginning with flu-like symptoms before rapidly escalating into respiratory distress, lung failure, and ultimately, organ shutdown. Yet, an unsettling mystery remained. A thorough search of the Hackman estate revealed no traces of rodents, no nests, no droppings, no telltale signs of infestation. There was no logical source for the virus within the mansion's pristine walls. If there were no rodents, then where had the virus come from? And more importantly, was it really an accident? The police scoured the mansion for answers. Flashlights cut through the dim corridors as they inspected every shadowed corner, every crevice in the doors, every cupboard, every possible hiding place for rodents. Yet the house remained eerily spotless, not a single trace of infestation. Shifting their search to the garden, they finally stumbled upon the first hint of something unusual. Faint, time-worn footprints and a scattering of droppings, likely months old. But nothing suggested a recent intrusion. If rodents had never entered the house, how had Betsy been exposed to the virus? And even more disturbingly, how had no one seen it coming? A deeper forensic investigation uncovered a chilling detail. Betsy's death was estimated to have occurred around February 11th, yet her body remained undiscovered for days. In that time, no one seemed to notice her absence. There were no phone calls from Betsy, no routine trips outside, no grocery runs. Even delivery drivers reported an eerie stillness. No orders, no requests from the Hackman estate. The silence surrounding her disappearance raised disturbing questions. Had someone known about her fate before the body was found? What happened in those lost days? And how could a woman from such a prominent household simply vanish without a trace of concern? Each revelation only deepened the unsettling mystery. For an entire week, an unsettling silence cloaked the Hackman estate. But what made it even more disturbing was that Gene Hackman had vanished during this time as well. No one saw him leave, no one saw him return. He was simply gone. Then came a chilling recollection from a neighbor, Linda Brooks. "I assumed Gene had gone on a trip or something," she admitted. "But there's one thing I can't shake. On the night of February 10th, I saw their lights flickering, on and off, moving from room to room as if someone was pacing through the house. And then, everything went completely silent. The image of those shifting lights, the abrupt stillness. It was as if something or someone had been moving through the mansion before vanishing into the dark." What does this suggest? Gene Hackman was in the house when Betsy fell ill, yet no call for help was ever made. Why? Why didn't anyone rush her to the hospital? How could a man who had commanded the screen for decades remain so passive in real life? It was a chilling paradox, an iconic figure, known for portraying characters who took charge in moments of crisis, now seemingly frozen in his own home. Had he been paralyzed by fear? Or was there something more sinister at play? The deeper the questions ran, the darker the mystery became. When news of Betsy's death broke, Gene Hackman may have held a truth no one else knew. Yet instead of shedding light on the mystery, the media only deepened the confusion. A chilling theory emerged. Betsy couldn't have contracted the virus inside the house. So where had it come from? And even more puzzling, where was Gene Hackman in the days that followed? Then an unexpected twist. The FBI became involved, despite there being no clear signs of a crime. Why? What had they discovered? The questions only multiplied and the answers remained elusive. But one thing was certain. This story was far from over. How did Gene Hackman spend his final days with Betsy? As the days passed, the story took an eerie turn. Left alone in that vast, empty house, Hackman's world grew darker and more distorted. At over 90 years old, battling the cruel grip of severe Alzheimer's, his memory and perception had faded into a fractured reality. Yet what was most unsettling wasn't just his condition, but the silence that surrounded him. For nearly 2 weeks after Betsy's death, no one came. No family, no friends, no caretakers. The legendary actor, once larger than life, was now completely alone, lost in a house filled only with echoes of the past. What unfolded after Betsy's death remains a haunting enigma. Yet, from the evidence pieced together, a grim reality takes shape. Gene Hackman, once a commanding presence, wandered aimlessly through his own home, trapped in a fog of confusion he couldn't escape. He didn't know what had happened to Betsy, didn't know why she was gone. No meals were prepared, no one came to check on him, and the mansion grew colder with each passing day. The home phone remained functional, yet Gene never called, or perhaps lost in time, he had simply forgotten how. No meals, no clean water, no voice to break the silence. Gene Hackman, the titan of Hollywood, once known for portraying sharp, commanding figures, was now a prisoner in his own home, unaware of his slow descent. Alone, forgotten, and lost in a world that no longer made sense, he faded without even knowing it was happening. When the police finally discovered his body on February 26th, he had already been gone for over a week, most likely since February 18th. A legend who had once ruled the screen had slipped away unnoticed, leaving behind only an unsettling mystery. A haunting question remains: what truly caused his death? The autopsy report delivered a shocking revelation. Gene Hackman's stomach was completely empty, showing no sign of food for days. His body was frail, his vital signs had deteriorated beyond recovery. The official verdict pointed to death by exhaustion and malnutrition. A man who had once stood at the pinnacle of Hollywood, a legend who commanded the screen with strength and intelligence, had faded away in quiet isolation, slipping into the abyss with no one by his side. When the truth came to light, outrage followed. How had no one noticed Gene Hackman's distress? Why was there no medical care, no caregiver to step in after Betsy's death? How could a legend, once revered by millions, be left to wither away in solitude? Many believe that with proper attention, Hackman could have lived longer, his final days made more dignified. But the brutal reality remained. He had been abandoned within the walls of his own home, left to face the end alone until his very last breath. Gene Hackman had once embodied intelligence and resilience, a towering figure in Hollywood's golden age. But as the lights of fame dimmed and the world moved on, he was left with nothing but an empty house and a bitter truth. He had been forgotten. No grand tributes, no front-page headlines honoring his legacy, just silence. The industry that once celebrated him had turned away, leaving only a hollow memory of what once was. Barbara Lenehan captured the tragedy in a single chilling remark: "He deserved better than this." The story of Gene Hackman took a shocking turn when a witness came forward with testimony strong enough to unravel everything. That witness was Barbara Lenehan, the neighbor who lived just across from Hackman's estate. And what she revealed changed the narrative entirely. She had never intended to get involved, keeping her distance like everyone else. But when news of Hackman's death surfaced, an unsettling feeling gnawed at her. Something wasn't right. Something she had seen, something she had heard. It all pointed to a truth far more disturbing than anyone had imagined. Barbara Lenehan recalled a seemingly ordinary moment just days before Betsy's death. She had seen Betsy strolling through the backyard, offering a casual smile as their paths briefly crossed. Nothing seemed unusual. She looked perfectly fine. I didn't see any signs of illness, so how could she have suddenly passed away in less than a week? The timeline didn't add up. If Betsy had been healthy, what could have taken her so suddenly? What had happened behind the closed doors of the Hackman estate that no one had seen? The more Barbara thought about it, the less sense it all made. The mystery surrounding Gene Hackman only deepens as new revelations come to light. With every detail uncovered, the questions surrounding Betsy's death grow more unsettling. How did no one notice anything unusual? Why was Hackman left entirely alone in such a vulnerable state, without a single person stepping in to help? The lingering silence, the strange inconsistencies, and the eerie atmosphere of the mansion paint a picture that feels more like a ghost story than reality. As speculation swirls, one thing is certain: people are still waiting for the truth to finally emerge. Gene Hackman took his final breath on February 18th. his body left undiscovered for over a week. There were no visible injuries, no signs of violence, but the evidence spoke for itself. Exhaustion, dehydration, and starvation had slowly drained the life from him. The mansion remained untouched, undisturbed. No break-ins, no struggle, just an unsettling stillness that hung heavy in the air. It was as if something unseen had lingered within those walls, an invisible presence watching as time swallowed him whole. Yet, even that wasn't the most chilling part of the story. The sprawling 12-acre estate in Santa Fe was more than just home to Jean and Betsy. It was also shared with their 3 beloved dogs, loyal companions who had been by their side for years. But when investigators searched the property, they stumbled upon something deeply unsettling. One of the dogs had died under mysterious circumstances, while the other 2 roamed the grounds, untouched, unharmed, and seemingly unaffected. The lifeless dog was found not far from where Betsy had been discovered, as if it had witnessed something it was never meant to see. And then, inexplicably, it too had fallen. No signs of poison, no injuries, just another unanswered piece in a puzzle that kept growing darker. The real question remains. What truly happened inside that mansion? Betsy was the first to go, followed by Gene Hackman, and then, mysteriously, a dog. Yet no one knows what transpired in those final days. Even seasoned investigators, despite their skepticism, admitted that something about the house felt off. The details didn't add up. Why was Hackman found in a small, cramped room instead of his bed or couch? Why hadn't he called for help, despite a working phone being within reach? And most disturbingly, how had a man who once commanded such strength and control lost everything, trapped in a game he never realized he was playing? Gene Hackman may have held a truth no one else knew when news of Betsy's death surfaced. Yet, instead of bringing clarity, the media only fueled more confusion. A chilling theory emerged. Betsy couldn't have contracted the virus inside the house. So where had it come from? And even more unsettling, where was Hackman in the days that followed? Then, an unexpected twist. The FBI became involved, despite no clear evidence of a crime. Why? What had they uncovered that others had overlooked? With each new question, the mystery only deepened, and the answers remained just out of reach. These questions linger without answers, but one thing is undeniable. The story is far from over. The deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa are not just a tragedy, but an enigma, a sequence of eerie events that defy explanation. A house filled with silence, a legend lost in solitude, and a mystery that refuses to fade. What truly happened within the vast, secluded mansion in Santa Fe? The truth remains just beyond reach, waiting to be uncovered. One of the earliest theories came from Gene Hackman's daughter, who suspected carbon monoxide, CO, poisoning, a deadly, invisible gas that can kill silently within hours. The idea wasn't unfounded. A leak from the mansion's gas heating system could have slowly filled the house, causing Betsy to collapse in the bathroom, unable to call for help. Gene, already battling Alzheimer's, might not have recognized the danger, his body succumbing to the same fate as he unknowingly breathed in the toxic air. Perhaps it took him 2 days to realize something was wrong. But by then, it was too late. However, the police ultimately ruled out this possibility. A full inspection of the heating system found no leaks, and tests detected no abnormal CO levels in the house. The theory, though chilling, failed to explain the mystery that still loomed over the Hackman estate. Another theory points to hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, the confirmed cause of Betsy Arakawa's illness, a rare and deadly disease transmitted by rodents. Yet, uncertainty remains. Where did the virus originate? Neighbors had never reported seeing rodents in the area, and investigators found no traces of them inside the estate. Without nests, droppings, or any clear evidence of an infestation, the source of the virus remained a mystery. Some medical experts even questioned the diagnosis, suggesting that in the rush to find an explanation, a more critical cause may have been overlooked. The more the pieces were examined, the less they seemed to fit. So, was this merely a tragic coincidence? Or is there a deeper truth still lurking beneath the surface? The mystery remains, its unanswered questions casting long shadows over Gene Hackman's final days. Perhaps, in time, new revelations will bring clarity to what really happened inside that secluded mansion. If you find this story gripping and want to hear more intriguing tales, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a 0. Now let's unravel the next chapter of this fascinating mystery. The most pressing question remains, why wasn't Gene Hackman found sooner? As a Hollywood legend, he had family, friends, and admirers. So how did nearly 2 weeks pass without a single visit or call? Who was meant to look after him? No medical staff was contacted, no concerned relatives checked in, and neighbors never saw him step outside. A man who once commanded the silver screen, celebrated for his brilliance and strength, was left to fade away in silence. His fate sheds light on a larger issue, one that extends beyond fame, about the responsibility and care for elderly individuals, whether they are icons or ordinary people. This cast a shadow of suspicion over those around him. Did someone know the truth but choose to stay silent? Was Gene Hackman abandoned in his time of need? Some whispers even suggest a darker possibility, that he may have been left to waste away, his hunger not just a symptom, but a consequence of neglect. If true, this would be more than just a tragedy. It would be an act of unforgivable wrongdoing. Yet, without concrete evidence, no accusations could be made. The unanswered questions only deepened the mystery, leaving behind a sense of unease that refused to fade. As the news spread, fans and the media demanded answers. Did Gene Hackman and Betsy have enemies? Was this a crime carefully concealed? And why did the police shut the case so swiftly without pushing for deeper investigation? Theories soon spiraled beyond the logical, creeping into the realm of the uncanny. Some who had been near the estate spoke in hushed tones. That house wasn't right. I can't explain it, but something about it felt off. The mystery only grew, leaving more questions than answers, as if the truth itself was slipping through the cracks. Rumors surrounding the Santa Fe mansion spread like wildfire. Some whispered of a curse, while others believed a hidden truth lay buried beneath the surface. But one undeniable fact remains. The full story may never come to light. Gene Hackman's fans still struggle to accept how such a titan of Hollywood could fade into obscurity, alone and unnoticed. The unseen forces that swiftly closed the case left behind a trail of lingering doubts. Was this merely an unfortunate tragedy, or is there a deeper, darker abyss in Gene Hackman's story? One we may never truly uncover. Gene Hackman, a towering figure in cinema, a man who once ruled Hollywood, met his end alone, his final days shrouded in uncertainty and unanswered questions. Yet, what is his true legacy? His triumphs on screen cast a long shadow over the tragedy of his final years, a reminder of the brilliance that defined him. But what of the mansion where he spent his last moments? Will it stand as a solemn monument to his solitude, or simply fade into obscurity, swallowed by the unsolved mysteries that linger within its walls? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, did we ever truly understand the final chapter of this Hollywood giant's life? Gene Hackman remains one of Hollywood's most iconic legends. With a career spanning over 6 decades, he was more than just an exceptional actor. He embodied dedication, talent, and unwavering determination. From his unforgettable portrayal of Popeye Doyle in The French Connection to the legendary Lex Luthor in Superman, Hackman's roles became part of cinematic history, forever etched in the hearts of fans. Each film he touched was more than entertainment. It was a mark on Hollywood's legacy. Yet despite his immense success and lasting influence, his death brings a haunting question. Does fame and accomplishment truly ensure a happy ending? After Gene Hackman's death, his estate became the center of intense speculation. Some believed it would stand as a lasting tribute, a place where fans could come to honor his legacy. Others, however, felt the mansion was tainted by the sorrow and mysteries within, a place forever marked by tragedy. The thought of the 12-acre estate, where Hackman's final days passed unnoticed, sent chills through many. It was no longer just a house. It had transformed into a haunting symbol of isolation and unanswered questions. The debate lingers. Will the family hold on to it as a testament to his life, or will it be sold to release the weight of the painful past? Who will dare to step foot into the scene of one of Hollywood's most chilling and unsolved tragedies? After news of Gene Hackman's death spread, film enthusiasts and colleagues began organizing a tribute event, a ceremony to celebrate his cinematic brilliance and ensure his monumental legacy would never be forgotten. But for some, a lingering question remained. Can we truly honor a legend when the mysteries surrounding his death still haunt us? Are we celebrating his life, or are we glossing over a truth that someone once tried to bury? Is there a deliberate effort to let his story fade into silence? What could his family, friends, or even Hollywood be hiding from the public, keeping locked away in the shadows of his untold final days? Although the event continues, hundreds of former colleagues, collaborators, and loyal fans have praised Gene Hackman. His films are being replayed, iconic scenes revisited, but a quiet unease still lingers in the air. Have we truly uncovered everything about the end of Gene Hackman's life? Despite the tributes and the fond memories, there's a sense that something remains unresolved, hidden in the shadows. His career spanned decades, his legacy secured, but the mystery surrounding his final years and the unanswered questions only add to the intrigue. Was there more to his story, left untold? For years, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were seen as the perfect couple, partners who navigated life together with unwavering support. Betsy stood by Gene in his later years, becoming his most trusted confidant. Gene once described Betsy as the greatest gift he ever received. Yet their relationship ended under the harshest of circumstances. One collapsed in the bathroom while the other withered in isolation, leaving many to wonder if fate had dealt them an unbearably cruel hand. Two souls, bound together in life, were forced to leave this world in grim, inexplicable ways, leaving behind a mystery that no one could answer. Gene Hackman seemed to have it all: fame, a remarkable career, love, and wealth. But in the end, what was left was a man who had once shaken Hollywood, quietly fading away without anyone noticing. A figure who once commanded millions under the spotlight, now left in the shadows of his own home. His greatness is indelible, but was his departure a cautionary tale? Does fame truly protect us from the depths of loneliness? Can wealth ensure a peaceful, fulfilling end? Ultimately, all we have is ourselves. No one can answer these questions for certain, but one truth remains. Gene Hackman's story is more than just an ending. It's a legend, a tragedy, and a mystery that endures. If you're surprised by the story of Hollywood star Gene Hackman's life, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and share this video with your friends and everyone around you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.